صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وخير الخلق أجمعين بالقاسم محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين صلوات Tonight we're going to conclude our discussions on society, and inshallah tomorrow we're going to move on to examine society in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But for the last two nights we began talking about the importance of society, and we also mentioned social values in Western discourse. Today we're going to look at Islamic values of society. And then we're going to put this whole topic to one side, again because our main aim here is to answer the question, how did Imam Hussein alayhi salamullah save Islam, and how did he in fact save the entire human race, the values of humanity. So today is the last discussion with regards to social aspects. And I would like to begin with the verse of the Quran, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Surah Al-Baqarah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alif Lam Mim, Dhalika al-Kitabu la rayba fih. This is the book in which there is no doubt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes a specific point that everything in this book is the ultimate truth. However, does that mean everybody benefits from this truth? Or is there a certain group who benefits from this truth? So then the Quran continues directly to answer this question. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. It is guidance. Guidance means what? That a certain group will be guided by this book. They will take the good from it. These people are the muttaqeen. Who are the muttaqeen? The Quran carries on to give the descriptions. And there's 5 points that will be made. One of the first points and the most important points is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ. The very first thing here is mentioned is Iman. Now I don't want to continue with the rest of it because the main point I want to get to is that Islam came to put forward something in society called Iman. What is Iman? In English we have the word faith. However, faith doesn't completely give us the true meaning of Iman, what is meant in the Quran. So for this reason we will give some examples. Iman is security. When I trust in something or in someone or in a form of ideology, then I feel secure in this thing. So for example, we see children. A baby, when a child reaches about the age of 1 or 2, they begin to imitate. But who do they imitate? Do they imitate everybody? Or do they imitate the people they feel comfortable with? The people they feel they have Iman in? The mum, the dad, the brother, the society. The first form of society in Islam is the family. So this is the society for the child. So he or she begins to imitate and mimic the things which they trust in. So this is one form of Iman. However, is this complete Iman? No. Because as the child begins to grow, you see when you speak to them, 1 minute they're happy with something and 1 minute they're not happy with it. So for example, 2 children are playing a game, and at 1 minute you ask, for example, child A, do you like child B? They say, yes, I like them very much, they're my best friend, and they're playing, and all of a sudden he comes back crying and he says, I hate child B because he did something which I didn't like. What happened here is the child is not fully, there's no full Iman here in his decision. His decision is not a certain one. However, as he starts to grow, certain things begin to take shape and form, and the child begins to take them as reality. So this we can call Iman. Again, as the child begins to grow, begins to go to school, he will see that certain things which they thought were truth, or their parents taught them as truth, they're not truth anymore. So what happens now? 2 things can happen. One is that the child gives up and becomes a rebel and he says, you know what, I'll give up on everything. This is not Iman. Two, the child could turn around and say, well, now I'm going to examine this belief which I had, and I'm going to investigate. The important part here is the investigation which takes place. That is in Iman. Iman is when you scrutinize something until you find the truth in it. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salamullah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, whenever you hear a tradition, a hadith about Habib al-Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, scrutinize it until you find the truth in it. He doesn't say scrutinize the Prophet, he says scrutinize the hadith until you find the truth in it. Hear the truth, which he means until you can say, I have Iman that this is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Speaking to Brother Jawadain yesterday, he was saying he met somebody who was a convert. He says, the only reason I converted to Shia Islam is because in Shia Islam the Holy Prophet is infallible. Whereas in other sects we see that the Prophet has made mistakes. In fact, he made mistakes which contradict the Quran. So how can I follow somebody who is not perfect? But when I came to Shia Islam, I found that the Shias revere the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his trustees as infallibles. So now when I follow the Holy Prophet, I have to have this Iman in Rasulullah, even though I have not seen him. The verse of the Quran continues, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. What is ghaib? Ghaib is something which you cannot make direct contact with through your senses. So for example, in school someone said, show me God. God doesn't exist. So the response came what? Show me the air which you breathe. You can breathe air, yes or no? Show me that air. You can't see the air, but you can feel it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also the same. You can't see him, but you can feel him. The difference is you feel him through a different sense. You feel him in your heart. Whereas air, the wind, you can either feel it when you're breathing, or you can feel it when the wind blows and it blows on your face, or it blows on your hand. There's some form of feeling which takes place, which tells me that there's something which my eyes cannot see. But yet I have this Iman, it exists. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also the same way. Now, once you have Iman in Islam, what do you do with it? Do you say, yes, I know Allah exists and that's it, I'll sit down? No. You begin to use this form of Iman as rules and regulations, as terms and conditions in your life. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam came and told us a few things as a Muslim which you must partake in order to what? Become a mu'min. A mu'min means you have Iman. So the actions of someone who has Iman are what? Is that you're charitable. Also, you're loving, you're caring, but loving and caring to whom? You're not living in a jungle where you do everything to, you pass and go past exceed the limits. Because Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salamullah says, we the Imams, Allah has put us as a form of measurement. For those who exceed in their faith, then they can come back to us. So for example, the mark here is Ahlul Bayt did this much. Of course they could do so much more, but they are the example to mankind. So Ahlul Bayt did this much. Mr. Hussein al-Nashed wants to fast an entire year and he doesn't want to eat anything. So I've gone to here. Ahlul Bayt say no, come back. Because when we fast, we open our fast. We're not going to go one whole year. Fasting shouldn't be a form of punishment to your body. In Christianity, there's a form that we say the penance, we have to punish the body for the sins which we have committed. No, Islam doesn't take this. Islam says you have to discipline the body, not punish the body. When a child does something wrong and you slap his wrist, that's called discipline, not punishment. If you get a stick and you start beating the child, that's something else. That's no longer discipline. You're punishing the child for something. Islam is in favor of discipline and not punishment. So when I look at Ahlul Bayt, if I'm doing